Hey everybody, welcome to the Shanty. So it's a cold, rainy, dreary day here in the Shanty, which is fitting for the topic we're going to talk about. And I have a maple tree full of leaves in my backyard that I need to get up, but unfortunately I have a second maple tree that hasn't bothered to drop its leaves yet, so I'm going to clean all these up and then have to do it all over again, and I'm depressed. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about stress and we're going to talk about anxiety. You know, we usually try to talk about legal topics. I'm a lawyer. Last time I checked, I am not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. So I try to keep this thing to actual legal topics. But today we're going to stray. And we're not going to talk about your people today. I don't care about your people today. Although some of this might have some application to them. What I care about today is you. And I care about you because I've noticed an incredibly disturbing trend over the last few months. It was a trend that we saw building. It's probably largely due to the pandemic and the things that have come out of the pandemic, like the great quote unquote resignation and the lack of resources and the lack of people and lack of the ability. And that's burnout among you guys as HR professionals. We've always seen burnout from time to time. But there's been I've had some conversations with some of you where it's pretty clear there's some pretty significant, boy, this job is really getting to be a bummer kind of thing. So I want to talk about that for a minute. So I went looking to, I don't just like to take my own word for it and how I feel about these things. I went looking to see what I could find. And I found an article in Forbes. Let me see if I can find you the date on it. August 14th or April 14th of this year, 2022. It's written by a guy named Jack Kelly, who's a senior contributor. And he's talking about burnout among HR professionals. And in his article, he cites a study done by WorkVivo. I don't know what WorkVivo is. He says it's an employee experience app that increases employee engagement, highlights the challenges human resources professionals have to contend with. I've not heard of it before, and I didn't go look it up, but he cites a study that they did. Now, the study involved 520 of you guys, HR professionals, in the United States and in the UK, and it's dealt specifically with the issue of burnout. And I found some striking, disturbing, troubling statistics in this study. Now, granted, it was only 520 people, but apparently that's significantly statistically significant enough for you to get a decent study out of it. So the study said, according to Mr. Kelly's article in Forbes, that 98% of HR professionals describe themselves as burned out. 98%. He said that is a clear trend over the past 18 months, and that people have dealt with more issues like hybrid work and lack of staffing and lack of money and all that stuff. And that HR leaders have felt the brunt of this burnout. So leadership in HR has felt the brunt of this burnout. Of the HR professional surveyed, 94% said they felt overwhelmed in the last 6 months. And 88% of the respondents said they dreaded going to work. Now, if that doesn't wake you up, I don't know what will. 97% of respondents said they felt emotionally fatigued from work over the past year. 83% of HR professionals said that office politics are disrupting the workplace and adding more strain to an already difficult time. And only 29% of the people surveyed said that they felt that their work was valued in their organization. 78% said they were open to leaving their jobs for new opportunities. Now, so look, that's astounding. It's astounding. I knew there was burnout going on, but 98%. And that was in April. Probably hasn't gotten any better as we've gotten into the year. So now that we know this burnout is so incredibly high, and I mean incredibly high, I went looking for solutions where everybody goes nowadays, to Google. Google knows everything, right? So there must be solutions out there for this burnout. What can we do? And I found the same nonsense that we've been hearing for 20 years. And it's all stuff that you can't control. You need a, seat at in the C-suite as a leader in HR. You need more money. You need more resources. You need more people. You need more understanding. You need more tools. All of these things that you yourself have absolutely no control over. You're not getting a seat in the C-suite just because you want it. You're only getting it if your CEO thinks it's important enough to give it to you. You can't control those things. And while they might help, probably not going to happen tomorrow, right? So what do we do tomorrow? I'm burnt out today. I know what you're saying. I can hear you. I can hear it in the tone of your voice when you call me, the exasperation and the sighs. What do we do today? So I'm not a shrink. I don't know what to do today. But I'm going to tell you what I'm starting to do. These are some things that I'm going to start to do. The first thing I'm going to start to do is I'm going to acknowledge that we've got a problem here right now. That stress and anxiety and burnout are a significant, real problem. This is not, my grandma used to say when you were depressed, just you buck up, buttercup, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Grandma was wrong. My grandma was right about a lot of things. I loved her, and she was a super wise woman, and she lived 98 years or 95 years and saw lots of stuff. But she was wrong there. You don't just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But you do have to acknowledge that you've got an issue. What we've got is all this stress and anxiety building on us and building on us and building on us. And then we do something and it gets questioned or it gets challenged, or we have an employee who gives us, files a complaint, or we have a boss who says that project didn't work out the way I wanted it to work out, or we're working on a project that's not going the way we want it. And all of a sudden the negative thoughts start coming in. I'm not good enough. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't handle this job, because it's the stress and the anxiety building on itself. And all those negative thoughts and all that self-doubt that you never had before is all right there. So what do you do about that? Well, the first thing you do is acknowledge that it exists. And that you are good enough to do what you do, and you do know what you're doing, and not let that stuff get into your head. And if you can't deal with it yourself, go ask for help. Now, that's hard for us to do as HR pros. For you to do. I'm not an HR pro. It's really hard for us to do as lawyers. It's hard for us to do as HR pros. And by the way, when my wife sees this, I'm going to get the I told you so like you wouldn't believe, because she's been telling me this for years. It's hard for us to do because we're usually the people that other people are coming to for help. So we know how to send that, guy in finance to the EAP. We know how to counsel him. We know how to tell him, look, you're doing fine. We don't know how to tell it to ourselves. So go get some help. Talk to somebody. Talk to a friend. Talk to your EAP. What the heck? That's what it's there for. It's confidential. Talk to somebody. The other thing you can do, and I'm terrible at this, is find yourself a way to relax during the day. I mean, you see these things about, go take a walk or go for a swim. A swim? Who's got time to go for a swim in the middle of the day? Ride your bike to work or something like that. Now, look. This is a terrible and awful example, and I don't want you to follow it, but that's my relaxation. Every day, for 10 or 15 minutes, walk outside into the parking ramp so I can smoke in the winter, light up a cigar, put some music on, and just chill for 15 minutes. Right? Now, if you don't want a nasty habit like that, take a walk. Ride a bike, do something like that. Try it. It might work. And here's the last thing I'm going to suggest you do. And this is going to be the hardest thing of all. It's the hardest thing of all for me. And this is another one where my wife is going to give me a see, I told you so. But I'm trying to do this more, and I want you to do it too. When we left the office during COVID and went home, Everybody went, oh, cool. We never have to go to the office again. We can work from home. Isn't this great? I'm not going to have to go to the office. And I got to tell you that not having that commute is a pretty nice thing. I kind of like my 30-foot commute from my back door. Unfortunately, what really happened is it wasn't a situation where we didn't go to the office. It turned out to be a situation where we never left the office. We were there all the time because your computer's right next door in that room. And even when you used to bring it home, your laptop home with you, didn't open it all the time. But now it's right there and it's open and it's running and it's operating. So instead of not going to the office, turned out we never left the office. And we're answering emails at 6 o'clock in the morning and 11 o'clock at night. And we're worrying about this and worrying about that. And I am the worst at this, the absolute worst at this. Set yourself some limits. Have a work day. Okay? So here's what I'm trying to do now. You guys know the Shanty is, well, you don't know, but I'm going to tell you. The Shanty's about 30 feet from my back door. Now, I have the advantage of physical separation, because my office isn't actually in my house, it's outside. So I at least have to walk outside. I'm not going to walk outside before 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning anymore. Not going to do it. All right? I didn't go to law school so I could get up and start working at 7 o'clock in the morning. If I wanted to do that, I would have continued to bake bread. I liked baking bread. My wife's going to see this and say that was a lie too. You complained the whole time you were baking bread, and that's probably true. So set some boundaries. Now, I got pretty good at the morning boundary because I'm not much of a morning person and I need to have my cup of coffee so I'm functioning before I do. But what I got really bad at was the evening boundary. So I go onto my email or I'm sitting on my iPad reading something or watching a video or playing a game, and the little thing pops up that says I've got an email. And instead of ignoring it, I go look at it. No matter what time it is. It's Sunday at 6 o'clock. I'm looking at emails. And then I get angry. And then I get tense. And then I start thinking about what I've got to do on Monday morning instead of relaxing and enjoying the weekend. So set topside boundaries too. Everything is not an emergency. For the last 2 years, we've thought everything was an emergency. But everything is not an emergency. Give yourself some time out during the day, maybe, where you can get some work done. Now, look, I know what you're going to say. Look, I'm an HR person. I have to be there when they want me. I say it myself. No, you don't. The world's not going to end if you answer that email tomorrow morning instead of at 11 o'clock at night. Where you are going to have trouble is if you don't do something about this burnout. If it's affecting you now, you are going to have trouble if you don't do something about this burnout. Mental health issues are real. They affect all of us. And they have to be dealt with. Now, like I said, this was for you HR guys, and it is, so don't share it with your CEO. Or if you want, go ahead and share it with your CEO. I don't care. These are just my opinions. You know that I'm a lawyer. I am not a shrink. But I can see the issue, and the statistics would bear out that there is an issue, which means lots of you are suffering from the same thing we're seeing here now. So I hope this helped even just a little bit. I wish you all the best.